grand jury may not have the final word in the Ferguson police shooting case. Attorney General Eric Holder says a federal investigation into Officer Darren Wilson is ongoing, and the officer may still face civil rights charges. But a prominent law professor says the chances of that are slim.
Usually these civil rights investigations occur after state proceedings, certainly after state investigations. The actual claim, the charge that would come out of a civil rights investigation is more difficult than what the grand jury looked at. It's very unlikely that they would find evidence based on the record released by the grand jury to support the type of charge.
Keith Sullivan is a criminal defense attorney, and he joins us now with some more insight. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Always great to be here.
Okay, so the grand jury found no evidence to indict. Eric Holder says that he is not backing down. So on what basis is there to pursue this federal case?
Well, let me just start by finishing. There is no basis, okay? And it's no shock that Eric Holder is going to continue down this road. In essence, as the law professor just laid out, there is an added element to a federal civil rights violation. And in essence, what Holder has to try to prove, and there's not an ounce of evidence in any of the investigation that's taken place, is that Officer Wilson shot and killed Mr. Brown because of the color of his skin. That there was this racial animus, this dislike or a hatred for Michael Brown because of the color of his skin. All of the evidence is overwhelmingly supportive that this was what police officers call a good kill, that this was a self-defense shooting of Michael Brown and nothing more than that.
But there were discrepancies in some of the witness testimony.
The discrepancies with regards to the witness testimony talked about Michael Brown putting his hands up, Michael Brown being shot in the back. The forensics, independent evidence absolutely refutes all of that. Listen, Michael Brown is dead not because of anything that Officer Wilson did in a racial animus. Michael Brown is dead because, as callous and brutal as this may sound, because Michael Brown was a criminal. He refused to obey police orders. He assaulted a police officer. He reached for his gun, and he charged a police officer. That's the truth. That's the brutal truth in this whole case.
And you mentioned the forensic evidence, and we should point out to people that that forensic evidence included the fact that there were no shots into the back.
Absolutely
all of the shots came from the front, plus there was blood on, I believe it was the officer's pant leg. And
correct, which corroborates the officer's original story that there was a first firing of two. He tried to shoot him initially twice, but his hands were locked. And then he did get off a shot near the car. Michael Brown runs away, and there's blood of Michael Brown found 25 feet away. And then he turns and comes back towards the officer.
Because that's what a lot of people wanted to know. If he was running away, why did the officer pursue?
The officer pursued him because this is an individual who just committed multiple crimes. He committed a strong-arm robbery. He just assaulted a police officer. It came across the radio. We now know, as I like to call the fraud of Ferguson, that that police officer Wilson was not knowledgeable that Michael Brown was a suspect. He absolutely was a suspect, and that's one of the reasons why he wanted to pursue him.
And not only did his physically match the suspect that they were looking for in that strong-armed robbery, he also had the cigarettes on him.
And he had the clothing match, the physical description, and we ultimately found that he did have the cigarettes. It's unclear if Wilson was aware of the cigarette.
One other question in reference to Holder. What about pursuing any type of case against all of the individuals who went in and burned these businesses to the ground and took away these people's livelihoods?
Absolutely. That's where he should be concentrating on. He should be indicting that New York newspaper that listed the home address of Officer Wilson, an innocent individual. He should be indicting the relative of Michael Brown who said burn the city down, and all those rioters, ignorant individuals who are tearing up the city throughout the country.
All right.
That's who he should go after.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You.
We appreciate your insight. Bill?